Welcome to another episode of Talking Ball with Pat Leonard. This is week 8 edition of First Down with Bennie Fowler. As a Super Bowl champion, former NFL wide receiver joins us to break down all the NFL action. There's Hail Mary talk. We'll discuss the Broncos' big win over the Panthers, where Bennie served as the honorary coin toss captain, and much, much more around the league on a fantastic NFL Sunday, frankly, for football and great finishes across the board. We are brought to you here on the Believe Network, of course, by MyBookie, Boom Chaga, and Estate 98 Coffee. MyBookie is rolling out the red carpet for sports bettors in its 10th year anniversary. And the big deal here, if you click on the link in my social media profiles and use the promo code PATSPICKS, you will get a 100% match on your first deposit of $50 or more, all the way up to $1,000 plus a $10 casino chip. Also, Boom Chaga Mushroom Super Drink, a natural extract loaded with anti-inflammatory, immune-boosting antioxidants and heart-healthy compounds. I put it in my coffee every morning. It's fantastic, makes me feel great, almost like I put a workout in, even though I did not. And then, obviously, it's gravy once you get into the gym, but helps lower cholesterol with its beta-glucans and antioxidants. Go to boomchaga.com today, place your first order, and use the Talking Ball 25 promo code or the QR code on your screen, and you will get 25% off your first subscribe and save order. So start feeling the difference today at boomchaga.com. Also brought to you by Estate 98 Coffee, all natural specialty coffee with no sugar, convenient for on-the-go coffee drinkers. It makes a great iced coffee, a great hot coffee or latte, and it's also terrific as a mixer for espresso martinis. Go to estate98.com/talkingball and get a special buy one, get one free deal today. And now on to our week 8 recap on Talking Ball with Pat Leonard with First Down with Bennie Fowler. All right. Welcome to the week 8 episode of First Down with Bennie Fowler here on Talking Ball with Pat Leonard. Bennie, first of all, congrats being back out there on the field for Broncos Panthers, ceremonial coin toss captain. What was that like on Sunday for that big Broncos win over Carolina?
I think anytime you can get recognized by your former team and a team that you had some success with, and a team that really gave me my first shot in the NFL, it always feels good. And then it happened to be against a team that we won the Super Bowl against, and the Broncos won. So it was an incredible experience. Super honored to just be a part of anything that the Broncos are doing, and especially on a game day and a win. So being out there was awesome. Seeing some of my former teammates, Sean being one of my former coaches, Vance Joseph being one of my former coaches, getting a chance to talk to them, give them a hug. It was an awesome opportunity. So I really appreciate it.
No, that's awesome. Bennie, the Broncos are starting to look frisky, 5-3. Bo Nix, 284 and 3 touchdowns in this game. I mean, do you take with a grain of salt a result like this because the Panthers are horrendous, or am I right to say that Denver's picking up a little steam here?
Well, I think, both things can be true. Denver is picking up some steam. Bo is starting to play a lot better. And I think one of the things that you love to see as a Broncos fan is that you're beating the teams that you're supposed to beat. And they were supposed to beat Carolina. Bo played really well. He spread the ball around. He used his legs. So we are starting to see him continue to grow as a quarterback and as the future of this franchise. So it's great to see Bo do that. It's great to see the Broncos get a win. It's great to see the defense continuing to play well. Yeah, Carolina isn't good, but we'll take the win at the end of the day. Now the Broncos have a great test in Baltimore coming up, which is not going to be easy at all, and Baltimore is going to be pissed off because they let one slip away to the Browns.
No doubt. Well said. So I have to jump right into the full week picture, obviously starting with the Hail Mary, Washington winning on the last minute play, 52-yard touchdown pass from Jaden Daniels to Noah Brown on this Hail Mary. Tyreek Stevenson, the Chicago Bears corner, waving to the crowd, telling everyone to go home. Before the play starts, you could see the fans pointing, telling him to turn around. Bennie, as a former player, could you just walk me through your view of that play, what amazed you, what surprised you, and what you thought of the execution on both sides?
Yeah, I think what surprised me about the play was the fact that Chicago only rushed 4. Jaden Daniels, I think he ran around for about 13 seconds before he actually threw the ball. He had to get all those receivers down there. So that's what surprised me. Number one is that they didn't just bring one extra rusher in terms of just trying to get Jaden to throw the ball a little bit earlier. I think also Tyreek Stevenson, it is going to be a long week for him. Geez, I mean, it's already all over social media. They're talking about it all through Sports Center. It is going to be a long week, and people are giving him hell on social media, which they should, because I don't actually mind him talking trash to the crowd. And he actually gets over there in plenty of time. But then for you to tip the ball is where it is bad. Like, I don't know what his actual responsibilities were, but somebody's actually supposed to be in the back where Noah Brown was. You're supposed to have a couple people in the front, a couple people in the middle, and a couple people in the back. You match it as the offense, and that's offense tries to create a little bit of a triangle. They want a tip person, they want somebody in the middle, and they want somebody in the back. You're supposed to have a defender there as well, and yeah, they are going to be giving him hell. And it is going to be in the Monday morning meeting, maybe Tuesday morning meeting, Wednesday morning meeting, and it's going to be across. On Fridays. They have and show the top plays from across the league of things that you don't want to happen, and he will be on that for the years to come.
And actually, interestingly enough, a young player making a mistake, the guy who was plastered to Noah Brown, who came off of him in the back, was actually Kevin Byard, like a veteran, coming up to the ball there. So, letdowns from vets as well as youngsters. And then Zach Ertz said he didn't get the ball. He didn't think he touched it. I'm curious to see if he got any piece, because you're right, Stevenson got it, and that makes him the ultimate GOAT. But from an execution standpoint, like you said, with the triangle there and the way that Ertz, a basketball player as well, basically makes that play, it's like almost like a tip drill rebound. That was fascinating. Just one of those plays that makes you feel like it is Washington's year. Benny, did another thing about this, are you impressed at all that Daniels played in this game with this rib injury? I mean, I know guys are playing hurt all over the league, so I don't mean to say other guys aren't, but I don't know. I don't know if it was wise going into the game. I'm thinking to myself, should they really be risking this? They got a division game next week against the Giants, but I would imagine in a locker room that builds some clout.
For sure, I think it builds some clout, and I would be curious to see what type of injury it was, because when I look at the game the previous week, it didn't look like a crazy injury in terms of him taking a huge hit. And, when he goes to grab his rib, it didn't look like he took a bad hit. So, was it a strained muscle on that side? I don't know if he got hit the previous play before in the rib. But if he's able to throw the ball, and which they said, he was able to practice on Friday and Saturday, then go out there. I mean, he's your Superman right now. The team believes in him. And then if, he can't play to the best of his ability in the first quarter, you have a backup in Marcus Mariota who played well the previous week. So I think you still go out there because you're trying to play to win every game. And right now they have caught lightning in a bottle, and you don't want to just put an incredible player like Jaden on the sideline when you have all this momentum going into or in a season like this, because seasons like this, especially as a rookie, don't just come along. And the more reps that he can get right now, the better off he'll be later on in December and in January, because right now it looks like they're going to be making the playoffs. I mean, the first team in the division right now, or number one team in the division right now. So, no, I wouldn't have sat him at all.
That's a really good point about keeping that momentum going and keeping him on the field, especially as a rookie. Really good insight there. Yeah, in the NFC East now, starting to get a fuller and clearer picture here. You and I sitting here on Monday morning. I'm in a hotel room in Pittsburgh about to cover Mr. Unlimited against the Giants. And as we sit here now, it's
Mr. Limited.
Mr. Limited, Mr. Very Limited. It's Washington 6-2. Philadelphia Eagles now with 3 straight wins at 5-2. The Dallas Cowboys showing us they are who a lot of people thought they were at 3-4. And the Giants 2-5 going into this. So definitely close to not only Washington, but maybe Washington and Philly starting to pull away a little bit in this division. So yeah, really interesting picture there. You mentioned right off the bat, you alluded to the Browns win and the upset over the Ravens. Benny, I don't know if I've ever seen a bigger example of a team letting out a sigh of relief that a player wasn't on the field
Yeah.
than Watson being gone and Jameis out there, 27 of 41, 334, 3 touchdowns. And just listen to these receiver numbers, Benny. Cedric Tillman, 7 for 99 and 2 touchdowns. Elijah Moore, 8 for 85. Jerry Jeudy, 5 for 79. David Njoku, 5 for 61 and a touchdown. I'm trying to think of another scenario that's been like this recently. It's just so stark and startling to me that these players kind of stomached the first, 7 weeks, and only to get to this place where they knew probably behind the scenes this whole time that it would look a lot better if they had somebody else under the center, and they just had to wait it out. I mean, Benny, as a player, your careers are not long as NFL players. Like, how do you not buck? How do you not raise hell, in week 3 when Watson can't complete a pass and your team hasn't scored 20 points until now? How do players just wait it out? Because they're right now, even after this win, I think I don't know, what are they, 2-6, 2-5?
Mm-hmm.
It just amazes me that the Browns play. Yeah, 2-6. It just amazes me that the Browns players were kind of able to wait this out with Watson, because in practice, it had to be so obvious to them and to the coaches who could do it and who couldn't, right?
Yeah, I think, well, one of the tough things about being in the NFL is that these are your teammates, and you don't just want to go throw them under the bus. Number one, these are people that you see every day. This isn't, a virtual work environment. You see these people all the time, and you don't want to just try to embarrass your teammates just because, number one, the player behind them is a lot better, but you don't want to embarrass them, number one. Number two, he's got a guaranteed contract. Those players in the locker room understand, hey, this guy's got all the guaranteed money. The owner's going to want to see him play, and that it just is what it is. And then also the reason why they're not bringing up and creating a lot of hell is because they're getting paid too. The checks are clearing, so it's all good. They're not losing their job. Now, moving on to Jameis Winston, what a great showing and outing for him. Jameis is a national treasure in terms of the interviews and the content he gives us. Number one, I played with Jameis in 2020, and he is the Black Brett Favre. I mean, Jameis is a gun slinger. He will throw that ball, and he will go into the huddle, and he's going to let you know, like, hey, everybody's going to touch this rock today, and you got a chance to see it. I think, oh yeah, everybody's going to. I mean, you saw the way he spread the ball around, but if you even look back to think about his years in Tampa, yes, he was turning the ball over, but Mike Evans, his first 6 seasons of his career were with Jameis Winston, those 1,000-yard seasons. And to get Mike to that streak of 10 1,000-yard seasons, that started with Jameis Winston, and Jameis Winston finding him. And Jameis Winston's always been an incredible player. This is a Heisman winner. It's a number 1 overall draft pick. So, yes, Jameis, he had to work on his turnovers, and he still has to continue to work on, sometimes he will throw some questionable passes, but you cannot question his arm talent, and you cannot question his love for the game, and you cannot question his preparation. When I played with him in New Orleans, he was in there at the same time Drew Brees was, and he was leaving after Drew. Jameis loves football, and he wants to continue to be a great player. And I'm very happy for him, and I'm very happy for the way that he showed out. And I know those receivers and tight ends and running backs are happy, because that ball will be spread to everybody. And sometimes he's just gonna let you know in the huddle, like, hey, run this, and he's gonna throw the ball up. So Jameis has that type of confidence, and as you can see, he gives the pregame speeches, even though he's not the starting quarterback before. So, Jameis, he's just one of the most unique guys in the NFL, and happy to see his success.
Yeah, no, it's good to see for him personally, and they're a real football team with him at quarterback now. I mean, It's very interesting. Obviously, some holes on a roster like everybody else, but they've got a good defensive coordinator. I think Stefanski is a pretty good coach. I mean, he gave away play calling, which is an interesting kind of wrinkle to this season. But certainly, if they're going to, I'm not saying they're going to repeat beating a team like the Ravens every week, but they're a real team. If you're playing them now, you really have to fend. To your point, Jameis, if he's on the field, plays will be made. Sometimes it'll be his team. Sometimes the other team's going to get their hand on the ball, but plays will be made. It will not be
100%.
a boring football game.
No, he will not be holding on to the ball. Jameis is going to let that ball fly.
Let it rip. Yeah. So that brings me to, so I know every week when we talk, I know you love to say shout out to certain people who stood out to you. So I figured we should start making this a segment, the shout out segment. Mm-hmm. And so let's put Jameis in the shout outs right off the bat. Shout out to Jameis Winston.
Yeah. Shout out to Jameis.
Benny, I also wanted to give a shout out to Khalif Raymond.
Yes.
Of the Detroit Lions. 5 punt returns, 190 yards and a touchdown, 2 catches, 14 yards and a touchdown. I believe you played with him in both Denver and New York, maybe briefly were on the roster at the same time. Yep. Holy Cross product, now shining in Detroit. Impressive day for Khalif.
Yeah, big shout out to Khalif, one of the most genuine, hardworking, and humble people that I've ever met. Got a chance to meet him in Denver. He had a great training camp, but he just didn't make the roster in the practice squad. He went to a couple different teams, and continued to progress throughout his career. And the day I actually signed with the Giants, he actually signed with the Giants. And then I believe they cut him the next day, and then they signed Corey Coleman. But Khalif, just steady, consistent, always does his job, doesn't complain, super hardworking, and has gotten his chance in Detroit over the last couple of years. Was first team All-Pro in terms of special teams, I believe either last year or the year before. Will continue to make plays and is an integral part of that team. And when you think about a complete team, and you think about a team that can win the Super Bowl, which I was able to be a part of a Super Bowl winning team, everybody has a role on that team. And everybody has different moments throughout that season where they step up and they shine. And this is one of those moments for Khalif where Jameson Williams comes out, he's suspended, Khalif steps in and continues to make a play. But I know that Khalif is a super important part of that team and that locker room because of the energy that he brings into that locker room and the energy that I know he has as a person. We used to call him Josue in the Giants locker room. But incredible guy, super happy for him. But yeah, shout out to Khalif in terms of what he was able to do this past Sunday, and he will continue to shine. And he always stays ready. He's ready for the moment, works a lot on his mind, works a lot on his craft. Super happy for him. So shout out to Khalif Raymond.
No doubt, no doubt. Also want to give a shout out. They didn't win the game, but I want to give a shout out to Evan Ingram for a ridiculous touchdown catch at the end of this Jaguars Green Bay game. Trevor Lawrence just threw it up. I think there were 3 defenders, and Ingram was like, when he made the catch, I believe he was maybe sitting on the shoulders of one of the Packers defensive backs and made like a one-handed catch. Haven't talked to him in a while, but having covered him in New York, I know how great it was for him to kind of find greener pastures and down there in Florida. And I know he's been banged up a little bit here. So was just really happy to see him make that kind of play and thrive because he is an absolutely great athlete.
Top 10 athlete that I've played with, and I played with a lot of great athletes in the NFL and just in my life, but definitely top 10 athlete. Well, you want to talk about somebody who gets a fresh start from New York, and then you can actually see his real talent. Just look no further than Evan Ingram going to Jacksonville on a 1-year deal, playing incredible, and then gets the big deal. But that's somebody who had a fresh start, gets around some, I wouldn't say better talent, but just a better opportunity and a better situation for him to thrive. And look what he's able to do. His talent you're able to see his talent every Sunday. You're able to see a little bit in New York, but not at a consistent level. So shout out to Evan Ingram in terms of that incredible catch, something that I got a chance to see for a couple years where you just like, how do you do that? So shout out to him for that.
Yeah. Ingram on the field with his shirt off running sprints. Like anytime I would see him like that, like before or after practice, I would always do a double take thinking I would be like, is there like a professional fighter here today or something? You know what I mean? Like he's just so torn to shreds. Like I remember he would do his off-season workouts. Guys from like other teams would be working out with him and they would be like, I didn't even know who this guy was. I walked into the gym. I'm like, who the hell is this? Impressive guy. If you have any other shout outs, obviously throw them in.
I'm going to continue to shout out this guy with the consistent football play that he's been doing is Saquon Barkley. Another 100-yard game. just playing with a lot of passion. That they're 5-2. They continue to give him the ball. I think he had 22 carries for 100 yards. Shout out to Saquon for consistent week in and week out performances in terms of being the go-to guy on the ground for Philly. So shout out to him. Shout out to Brock Purdy. Brock Purdy, they had crazy injuries throughout the entire year, but Brock plays well on Sunday night, doesn't turn the ball over, a couple touchdowns. But, Brock's a real quarterback, and I think this is year 3 for him. And, there are always these questions because he was the last pick of the draft. But Brock continues to show that he can really play this game. And, he delivers on Sunday night. And then I also want to give another shout out to Kyle Shanahan. Kyle Shanahan, literally gets running backs off the street and will get you 100 yards. That's incredible play calling, that's incredible scheme. But Kyle can literally, in the middle of a season, go grab 2 running backs off the street who are in decent shape, and they will get 100 yards in this offense. Now, I'm not saying he will win a Super Bowl with them. He needs Christian McCaffrey to come back, which I believe he'll be coming back after the bye week. But in terms of prolonging Christian McCaffrey's career, Kyle Shanahan can plug and play people into this offense. So shout out to Kyle Shanahan, his scheme, the offensive line, and everybody blocking for those running backs.
That's so well said. I believe the guy's name was Isaac Guerrero, 14 carries, 85 yards, and a touchdown, 6.1 yards per touch. Insane. That's a great point. Benny, on Brock Purdy, is there any question in your mind about paying him, whatever it's going to be, 45 million, 50 million, the going rate for quarterbacks now? Is he, in your mind, 100% obviously worth that? Or are you still looking for more there?
Speaking from a player's perspective, I absolutely think he's worth top dollar, and his performance and play has warranted that. 2 NFC championships and 1 Super Bowl appearance as a starter, and continues to play well. If I'm Brock, I take the Tom Brady approach and say, hey, I want top tier money. I want top 10 money. I don't want to reset the market, because I want you guys to continue to surround me with incredible players so I can continue to have an incredible career. But no, Brock definitely deserves his money. But if I'm him, yes, I want top 10 money. I don't want to reset the market, but I do believe in myself. I believe in my talent. But I want you to continue to surround me with the Deebo Samuels of the world, the George Kittles of the world. As these guys continue to get older, I want you to continue to find people in free agency who fit into this offense that I can spread the ball around to.
Yeah, I have to admit, there's times where I feel like I'm right on the nose with things, and there's times when I'm wrong. And, Purdy, to me, even seeing him in person against the Giants last year, I felt like a good defensive scheme could, take some of the things he does away and fluster him and expose his weaknesses. But, this is too much good football, for too long of a time for me to be right about that. Like, I think he's tough. I think he didn't have a good game last week, but I think he mostly plays within himself. I think he knows exactly what he is. And also, to tie your points together, Shanahan demands a lot and out of, the players on his offense for executing that scheme, and especially on the quarterback. And I remember the reason they put him in the first place was because he was mastering it. He was on top of all the details, and not just from an understanding standpoint, but an execution standpoint.
Mm-hmm.
Certainly it helps to have all the weapons they have. But to your point, now look at this. No McCaffrey, no Ayuk, Deebo basically 50%, Kittle playing banged up because he's an animal. But this is a Brock Purdy win. Conversely, Benny, the Dallas Cowboys get the ball back with a chance to go down and score. There's like 3 or 4 minutes left, and they go 3 dropbacks, 3 incompletions, and punt the ball. There's 25 seconds left in the game. Mike McCarthy and the Cowboys are lost. They're completely lost.
Yeah, Dallas stinks. At the end of the day, they stink. And play calling is vanilla. You know what's coming. what's so surprising to me is that when you go back and you look at, Dallas getting ready to do this 2-minute drive, the first play they call a dagger concept, which is a 15-yard dig. You see CeeDee Lamb getting ready to come across the middle. I don't know if he was either in the slot or outside. Regardless, it doesn't matter. Dak throws the ball, and there are 3 people around CeeDee Lamb. It should have been picked off. I'm like, Dak, what is Dak looking at? I think Dak needs to take off the visor. I don't know if he's seeing glares or seeing ghosts, but Dak, take off the visor, because literally things like that, concepts like that, you're not supposed to mess that up. Number one, you're not supposed to mess it up in terms of like, hey, there are 3 people around. This person isn't open. Find someone else. And, it's alarming with the team. But I don't think this team is actually that talented. This isn't the Cowboys team that I was playing when I was in New York, where they would bully you. They had the Lions formula. They had an incredible offensive line. Zeke was in his prime. They'd run the ball, and then they'd hit you with play action. This team, they suck. So we don't even need to talk about the Cowboys anymore. They're just not a good team. They're not well coached. McCarthy won't be there after this year. And that's just based off of they don't practice hard. They're talking about practice habits. The team that has Super Bowl aspirations, you're not supposed to be talking about practice at all. You're supposed to be talking about execution, playing hard. But that speaks to the culture and the leadership in that team. I don't know who the leaders are on that team, and it looks like they're lacking a lot of leadership. So,
yeah.
It's tough.
No, good point. Yeah, no more Cowboys talk. And to go back quickly to your Eagles point and Saquon, we'll see how sustainable it is. But, I was very critical the last few weeks coming out of the bye week when they were 2-2 there after a bad loss to the Buccaneers. Very critical of Howie Roseman, the general manager, and of the operation. Sirianni yelling at the fans after they beat the Browns. This is one of those teams, Benny, where they have a good enough offense where if they get rolling, that just, people around the league don't want to see this version of them, right? Like they don't want to see Hurts running well, Brown and Smith healthy down the field, Saquon going for over 20 carries for 100 yards every week. Like this team is a factor. And to stand on the Roseman point too, Cooper DeJean, draft pick, making some big plays. Isaiah Rodgers, who I believe is DRC's cousin, making a great play to force an interception there.
Yep,
and some of those acquisitions and players kind of really stepping up. Like this is a team that is going, in my mind, from, I'm not putting them up there in the top tier yet, but this is a team that I don't think anybody wants to play right now.
Yeah, they have the recipe to win later in December and early in January, which is running the ball. Jalen Hurts being super efficient, 16 for 20, and finding his guys, Devontae Smith and A.J. Brown, and then Dallas Goedert. And then if their defense can continue to be more than serviceable, you have incredible leadership with Brandon Graham on the defensive line, Darius Slay on the back end, C.J. Gardner-Johnson, who is the energy of that defense and continues to make plays and is always around the ball. They do have the recipe to win later on in the year. We'll see how they continue to progress week after week, and as they start to get into these division games and what this team will look like after Thanksgiving, but they continue to do well.
No doubt, no doubt. Quick break to tell our viewers and listeners about our sponsors. MyBookie is sponsoring us, obviously, 10th year anniversary, rolling out the red carpet for sports bettors. Been crushing it against the spread the last few weeks. 2-1 on Pat's picks so far this week, with my Steelers covering against the Giants bet coming up here on Monday night. But you need to use that promo code Pat's Picks at the link in my social media profiles. You get a 100% match on your first deposit of $50 or more, all the way up to $1,000, plus a $10 casino chip. Also brought to you here on Talking Ball on the Believe Network by Boom Chaga Mushroom Super Drink, a natural extract loaded with anti-inflammatory, immune-boosting antioxidants and heart-healthy compounds. Use the code TalkingBall25 or the QR code on your screen to get 25% off your first subscribe and save order at boomchaga.com. Start feeling the difference today. And brought to you by Estate 98 Coffee, all natural specialty coffee with no sugar, convenient for on-the-go coffee drinkers. Estate98.com/talkingball for a special buy one, get one free deal today. Benny, a couple of things that were on my mind bugging me wanted to go over with you. First of all, I didn't see this on Sunday, but I wake up Monday morning, I'm going over kind of the headlines, and apparently in the third quarter of the Colts-Texans game, Anthony Richardson, after a second down where he was pressured, he scrambles out, he gets sacked for 0 yards. He pulled himself out of the game in the red zone, basically. It was like 3rd and 23 right outside the red zone for Joe Flacco. And after the game, he was asked why, and he said because he was tired from running a lot the previous play. Benny, I don't even know what question to ask. I'm just going to give you the floor to respond to whatever the heck that is.
You know what? I don't know if I can actually respond. I don't know if I actually have a real response for this because I've never seen a quarterback tap out after a scramble run. I know he does scramble a lot. So I'm just going to give him a pass because I don't know how to positively respond to this. I know he's quite the athlete. I know he's an incredible player. But this is somebody who needs to work on his accuracy, his throwing. I mean, he is just super inefficient right now. And I'm wondering, what are the progressions and how are they installing the offense for him to understand it? But yeah, he taps out. Thank God they got a guy like Joe Flacco who, can stay ready, but come in and service a play or two. But yeah, you just never see a quarterback just tapping out of a game. But it's a different breed of young guys in the league now.
That last line is exactly my thought process there. But you're right. It almost feels like a situation where there's more to it than meets the eye. But that's what made it so startling that he just said it was because he was fatigued. If he said that there was something wrong and he didn't want to talk about it, there'd be some gray area. But now it makes you say, what are we talking about? Anyone on the Colts could just tap their helmet and walk off the field. Like you can even see one of the assistant coaches when he does it. One of the assistant coaches goes, he starts like kind of looking around at everybody. Like he's like, I'm like, just like you said, he's never seen it before. Benny, also, this is a few days away from us now, but doesn't there have to be like a federal investigation into the officiating of this Rams-Vikings game at the end with Darnold's face mask getting pulled and the view from the back of the end zone? You can see that the official in the back of the end zone has a clear view. He's staring right at it. I mean, as a player, how difficult is it to get over a call like that? They were obviously down. They had to go the full field. They still might have lost the game. But how difficult is it to get over a call like that where it's not like you're frustrated and you're curious? You got screwed.
I think that's the part that pisses these players off the most now is like it's the blatant things where the ref is not making the right call. It's these blatant things that are happening at the end of the game where it's like, Minnesota has a chance to go, I think, to 6-1 after that game, and now they're sitting at 5-2, and things like that are super important, especially because they're playing an NFC team. So that's what pisses the players off is these blatant calls that are missed or these calls that are called that aren't, that are ticky-tack penalties. If the way I'm thinking about it is don't put it in the ref's hands. How do you not put it in the ref's hands? And I know I've had great coaches when we go on the road, they say, hey, don't even put it into the referee's hands. Just consider that when we are on the road that we're already down 7 walking into the building because the refs will find a way to mess this up. So don't put it into their hands. Try to run away with this game. So, but yeah, that'll bother you for sure. It's just, the inconsistent play and calling of the refs this year has been egregious.
No doubt. Very well said. Jumping around here a little bit, but I meant to say this earlier and it slipped my mind. When you mentioned on the Hail Mary play, the Washington play beating the Chicago Bears in the last second toss to Noah Brown, you said it surprised you that the Chicago Bears rushed only 4. And I think our viewers, if they didn't see this, you should go back and watch how the Texans attacked the Colts on their Hail Mary at the end of the game. They overloaded their pass rush, and I believe they brought a 5th. But they brought extra pressure, a unique pressure, and they flushed Richardson from his right to his left. So that's like an X's and O's thing I think people should go take a look at when you see how not to defend it, like the Bears showed you. go and watch how Houston and D'Amico Ryans defended that against the Colts, because I thought that showed some planning and some intelligence on their side of the ball. Benny, power rankings. I'm going to go Lions 1, Chiefs 2, Ravens 3, Bills 4, Packers 5. Do you have any issues with that power rankings?
I would just interchange the Chiefs and the Lions. I think Travis Kelce getting going yesterday, 10 catches for 90 yards, getting in the end zone. DeAndre Hopkins, a couple catches, I think 2 catches for 29 yards. But he will continue to get integrated into that offense. Patrick Mahomes, he still turned the ball over, but 2 touchdowns. And, they pretty much were running away with that game. It was 27 to 14, I believe, or 27 to 13. And then the Raiders scored late. But 7-0, can't argue against that. The Lions have 1 loss. They still have not done anything in terms of a trade to replace Aiden Hutchinson for the rest of the year. So I'll go with Kansas City at the 1, Lions at the 2, Ravens at 3, and I think you said Bills and then Packers. I would go with those teams. Yeah, that sounds good for right now. That sounds good for right now. I might take Minnesota over Green Bay.
Yeah, that's an interesting one. The Green Bay, of course, with Jordan Love suffering that groin injury now, you have to consider that too. It does come at a favorable time because they have one more game, I think, against the Lions here before their bye week. So then they get some time to recover before they come out of it. And they have the Bears, the Niners right off the bat after that. So if there's a time for Love to go down and heal a little bit, it's now. But I think that's a good point by you, kind of undecided there at the top of the NFC North. That's going to go down to the wire and be a fantastic finish, I think. Wanted to get your opinion because we are talking before the Giants play this week against Mr. Limited and the Pittsburgh Steelers. And Benny, my personal feeling is I think the Giants offense and operation is in real trouble. I think it's coming apart. I think it could come undone, and I think they could get shut out in this game, to be honest with you. And I'm not saying that to be overly critical. It's just my informed opinion of what I see. My question to you is, though, is Wilson flawed enough as a player and a quarterback to keep the Giants in this game? Can they use his limitations against the Steelers to keep it close regardless of how the Giants offense is playing?
I think the Giants have an incredible defensive line. So I think that they can get into Russell's face. I think they can make throws pretty hard. And I think the Giants have done an incredible job of making quarterbacks' life a living hell. I mean, Dexter Lawrence and then Brian Burns. So I think they can definitely make it difficult. I'd be curious to see if Russell's going to be continuing to throw those moon balls tonight in terms of the pressure that will be in his face. But there will be opportunities for the Giants to make plays on the back end. He's not going to make it obvious in terms of throwing it right to you, but he will be on the run and he will give opportunities because of the way he does throw the ball. But I think there's an opportunity for this game to be close because of the Giants pass rush and because Russell Wilson cannot escape the pocket and escape the pass rush like he used to. There will be opportunities, but this doesn't look good for the Giants because of how incredible the Steelers defense is. You got Mika Fitzpatrick on the back end. You got Joey Porter Jr. on the outside, and then you have an incredible pass rusher, if not the best defensive player in the league right now, in TJ Watt, who will probably have a strip sack, a couple sacks tonight, probably a forced fumble, probably a fumble recovery. That's just the type of the stats that he puts up every single night. So he will dominate tonight. I don't know how they'll block it up. I mean, wherever he's at, I'd put 2 over there. But, he's creative. And, double teams haven't really stopped him. It's not like people don't know that he is the go-to guy on the other side. They still can't stop him. So look out for TJ Watt tonight, number 90. We'll see him all over.
Yeah, no, it's a really good point by you about the Giants D-line, because if there's anything Russell doesn't handle well, it's that interior pressure. I mean, that makes every quarterback's life difficult, but that's what Dexter Lawrence can bring. Be interesting to see how much Brian Burns can give, because he's been laboring through this groin injury, and like midway through the last 2 games, you see it starting to affect him. So I think I don't know if they're going to be strategic in how they deploy his snaps. I know they were trying to do that against Philly, and legit the second he came off the field, they ran right at his side where he was, and Saquon went for 55. So it was kind of like it was legit like that, and the second it happened, I'm like, Zero's not on the field. So that'll be really interesting to see. Benny, crazy stat here. The Giants, so they have 1 interception as a defense by an inside linebacker. So they have played 7 games, and their secondary does not have an interception yet this season.
The Giants secondary.
The Giants secondary does not have an interception yet this season. I think it's possible Russ gives them their first one, like you said, moon balls, 50-50 balls, trying to trust George Pickens on those plays. And it'll be interesting to see which player slumps off and quits first, because we know George Pickens has given up on the field mid-play before. And Deonte Banks, Giants corner, who I like a lot as a person, but he's killing us. Two plays in the last 4 weeks where, and by us, I mean people who love football. I mean people who are watching somebody on the field slumping his shoulders and giving in. Brian Daboll, I should get your take on this. We've talked about this, but he's not benching Banks for the start of this game. He will start the game after not chasing Jalen Hurts on a scramble in the second half of last week's game. Is there a situation where a stern talking to and positive reinforcement from his teammates and his coordinator can change the course of a player's work habits? Or like my viewpoint is kind of like the old school, like if you don't hold somebody accountable, it's going to spread throughout the team and everybody, it's finished. But maybe I'm being overly harsh about it.
Either you're coaching it or you're allowing it to happen. Hopefully Daboll coached it. Hopefully he showed that clip in the meeting room in front of everybody. Hey, this is not acceptable. This is not the Giants way. If he didn't do that and he let him get away with this and continues to let him get away with this, everybody now knows they can do whatever they want. I've been in situations like that, especially in that building and in that locker room where, there is no real accountability and people go on their separate ways. And that does not create a winning culture. So hopefully he addressed it. A benching, I don't know if he should have been benched. I because I didn't see the play, but calling him out and letting him know in front of the team this will not be tolerated is an approach that Daboll should take for sure.
Benny, we always appreciate your time here. This has been First Down with Bennie Fowler, the Week 8 recap with a former Super Bowl champion NFL wide receiver back on the field for the coin toss for Broncos, Panthers for a big dub. Benny, giving us dubs every week here on Talking Ball. Thank you so much. We always appreciate your time, man.
Appreciate you, Pat.
That was a great conversation, as always, with Bennie Fowler, Super Bowl champion, former NFL wide receiver. Hope you learned something. I learn a lot talking to him every week about how NFL players think and about the entire league. We are brought to you here, as always, on Talking Ball with Pat Leonard on the Believe Network by MyBookie. MyBookie is rolling out the red carpet for sports bettors this football season. And if you're already a member, you can sign up for MyBookie Plus. That's the loyalty rewards program where you can get exclusive promotions, giveaways, cash back in your account. Sign up today, mybookie.ag. If you don't have an account yet, I have a deal for you. Use the promo code PATSPICS on the link in all of my social media profiles, and you will get a 100% match on your first deposit of $50 or more, all the way up to $1,000 plus a $10 casino chip. Been winning a lot against the spread this season. We keep it rolling. Hope you join and win money with us this football season, whether it's underdogs or my giant sprinkle prop bets we have every week. MyBookie, make this football season a winning season. Bet anything, anytime, anywhere. Also brought to you by Boom Chaga Mushroom Super Drink, a natural extract loaded with anti-inflammatory, immune-boosting antioxidants and heart-healthy compounds. You can easily pour this natural liquid supplement into any of your favorite drinks. I put mine in my coffee every morning and immediately feel the difference. I personally have felt a post-workout-like energy boost with Boom. Chaga also has the ability to lower cholesterol, reduce inflammation, and improve immune and heart health with its beta-glucans and antioxidants. Go to boomchaga.com today to place your first order. And if you use the discount code TalkinBall25 or access it through the QR code on your screen, you'll get 25% off your first subscribe and save order. Right now, that means a month's supply costs you only $30. Start feeling the difference today at boomchaga.com. Also brought to you by Estate 98 Coffee, an all-natural specialty coffee with no sugar, convenient for on-the-go coffee drinkers. It takes me less than 10 seconds to make a delicious Estate 98 iced coffee, a minute more to make a hot coffee or latte, and it's great as a mixer for espresso martinis. Go to estate98.com/talkingball to get a special buy one, get one free deal. That'll do it for Talking Ball with Pat Leonard. First Down with Bennie Fowler, Week 8 edition. See you later on Monday night here on October 28th for Talking Ball post-game live with Pat Leonard from the Steelers Stadium after the Giants take on Russell Wilson and Mike Tomlin's team. I'm sure you'll be watching the World Series Game 3, Yankees-Dodgers, but keep an extra eye out for Talking Ball with Pat Leonard post-game live on the YouTube channel, PL on NFL. See you there.